Hey folks, good morning. It gives me opportunity today to welcome you to our new segment, IRS Solutions. Last week I gave you a brief overview of what IRS problems could be and when you may need proper solutions to it. We hear a lot about something called offering compromise. We hear a lot of commercials on TV, which are usually late at nights, or radio commercials that says, settle your IRS debt pennies on the dollar. It's not as easy as it sounds. In 2012, the IRS, when the economy was in a bad shape, the IRS came up with something called a Fresh Start program to give opportunities to individuals who were stuck in an IRS problem that they did not have the ability to make their payments. So the Fresh Start program kind of relaxed the qualifications to be able to make an offer to the IRS. It is not very true that they will be able to settle your debt for pennies on the dollar, no 10 cents on the dollar, but there are some opportunities, yes. There are a lot of myths. It's not that you owe $100,000 to the IRS and you're going to go and say, hey, IRS, I'm going to offer you $5,000. Let's call it even. No, that's not what's going to happen. And it's not going to be pennies on the dollar. The IRS has certain eligibility standards that they're going to look. If there was no such standards, everybody is going to end up owing money to the IRS and then say, hey, I'm going to do an offering compromise. No, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't work that way. What does the IRS look at? The IRS looks at the total amount of money that you owe. The IRS is going to look at your monthly income and expenses. Now, be careful. You cannot just go ahead and say, my income is $5,000 a month and my expenses is $6,000 a month. Hey, they are not stupid. They have computers that programmed it, and they're going to punch the numbers in there and make the numbers come out to see whether you are actually underwater, in other words, not able to meet your obligations on a month-to-month basis, and therefore you're trying to do the compromise. And second thing, you may own a house which is fully paid off with full equity in it. You have the ability to go and borrow the money and pay off the IRS. So they're not dumb and stupid. If they are, I'll be out of a job. Okay? So in order to calculate the eligibility, they're going to look at these things. You cannot go and say, it cost me $3,000 in rent, and you're just husband and wife, and you live in McLean or Potomac, for that matter. Why do you need to live in Potomac and McLean if you cannot pay your own taxes? Why don't you go and live in Fairfax, a lower rent area, and have the extra funds available to meet your income tax obligations? So the income that you tell them, they have sources to verify. Expenses that you tell them, they want proof for it. For example, they're going to say, send us your 3 months utility bills, send us your 3 months mortgage statement to look at it. You have 5 cars. One of them is, let's say, a Maserati. Do you really need a Maserati? No. And you're making a $2,000 monthly payment. They're going to tell you, get rid of it, get a Ford. If you have to present an image to earn the revenues. So the IRS has certain national standards, and those national standards computed, they even go down deep into, drill down into the counties. What is the standard of living in the county rent for a family of 4 or 5 or 2? What is the average utility bills in that area for your family size? So housing expenses, utilities, and the vehicle expenses. The IRS have some standards, and they have to be within that cap. If you are claiming more than that, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to request you to adjust that to be able to see. And then you have to look at what the net worth is, your assets minus your expenses, and they're going to look at your liabilities and come up with your net worth, and then see what is the minimum or the maximum you have the ability to pay. And in order to do that, they're also going to ask you to fill out the application, which is 656, and they're going to ask you to pay a fee for participating in the program. They're going to request you to fill out a form 433A. A is for individuals, your income expenses and your assets, and B if you're self-employed. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall discuss this more in future. Till then, this is Manjeet.